Adam Sandler, the man, the myth, the legend. Famous for his well-known roles in comedies, rom-coms, and occasionally an Oscar-worthy performance in a random drama. Basically, if there's a script, Sandler will be there. Now, Sandler has some amazing movies, top shelf, can't go wrong with it, but he also has a handful of stinkers. So I got to thinking, what is Adam Sandler's greatest film? So I decided to do the impossible. I watched every single Adam Sandler movie, and I'm gonna rank them from worst to best. Some of these are all-time classics that shaped my childhood. Others made me question why I was even born. I've seen so many people on TikTok ranking their top 10 Adam Sandler movies, and honestly, I felt like it was time for the real movie connoisseur to step in and show them how it's done. Quick shout out to maybe Mackenzie too. I came across his video while working on this, and it was super well made. I'll drop his link in the bio, so check him out after you finish this one. Starting at the very bottom of the barrel, coming in at lucky last, number 47, Going Overboard. This was Adam Sandler's first ever movie, and you can definitely tell. The plot is about a guy named Shecky who's working as a waiter on a cruise ship, but dreams of becoming a stand-up comedian. The movie basically follows him trying to get noticed, bombing at comedy, and stumbling his way through random side plots like beauty pageants and terrorists. Yeah, terrorists. On a cruise ship. Sandler's clearly young here, and you can tell he's naturally comfortable in front of the camera. But comfort doesn't make up for the fact the movie looks like it was shot on a microwave from a garage sale. The jokes fall flat, the acting is awkward, and most of the time it feels like they made up the script as they went along. This was more like watching a student film than an actual Adam Sandler movie. Historical for being his debut? Sure, but honestly, unwatchable. 2.2 out of 10. The next movie may shock a lot of you. In 46th place, I have the Meyerowitz Stories. This one is a family drama directed by Noah Baumbach, so you already know what you're in for. Lots of talking, lots of long silences, and lots of characters quietly resenting each other. The story follows the Meyerowitz family, an aging father and his grown-up kids dealing with his legacy. Sandler plays Danny, the son who never really figured his life out, and he's basically stuck living in his dad's shadow. Now, to Sandler's credit, his acting here is actually really good. You can really see his acting ability, and critics loved it. But here's the problem. When I watch Adam Sandler, I don't want to be sad. I don't want to watch him mope around New York playing piano and being depressed about his childhood trauma. It's slow, it's boring, and honestly, half the time I forgot he was even on screen. I know some people really love this movie, but I found it very boring. I watch Adam Sandler for his comedies, not for his dramas. So yeah, good acting, but as a movie, it was a snooze fest. Easily bottom tier for me, 3.4 out of 10. Next up, near the bottom, at number 45, we have Reign Over Me. Again, this film is widely loved by a lot of people. I'm just not one of them. Reign Over Me is one of Adam's serious roles, and wow, it's definitely not your typical Sandler comedy. The story follows Charlie, who lost his family in 9/11 and has been spiraling ever since. He reconnects with his old college buddy, Alan, and the movie dives into grief, friendship, and how trauma can mess up your life. There's a lot of emotional heaviness, and Adam Sandler plays it dead serious, which is kind of cool because it's so different from his usual goofy persona. Also, what the hell is Mike Ehrmantraut doing here? Anyways, the movie focuses on Charlie's struggle to adjust to normal life while reconnecting with friends, and while I get the plotline, the pacing is slow. A lot of scenes drag on, and I personally found myself losing interest a lot. It's clear Sandler is capable of serious acting, but this just isn't the type of movie I'd watch for fun. It's heavy and slow, and while some people love it, I'd rather be watching Happy Gilmore again for the 15th time. 4.1 out of 10. We have another serious Adam Sandler flick in the 44th spot, Men, Women, and Children. This movie tries to be super deep and meaningful, but it just ends up being depressing. The story follows a bunch of different families and how the internet messes up their lives. Sandler plays a dad who's unhappy in his marriage, so he goes online looking for an affair while his wife does the same. Meanwhile, their kid is addicted to video games, another family deals with eating disorders, and another one has strict parents spying on their daughter's phone. It's basically a collage of misery. Adam doesn't do a bad job, his acting is fine, but the character is just bland.
Boring!
He's not funny, he's not particularly emotional, he's just there. And the whole movie feels like a bad high school presentation on the dangers of technology. In the end, I walked away not entertained, not enlightened, just weirded out. Out of all the serious Sandler movies, this was the weirdest. 4.3 out of 10. Coming in at number 43, we have Spaceman. So the movie starts with Jack, played by Sandler, chilling in space on a space mission, and right away, you know this isn't a funny Sandler movie. It's once again, another one of Sandler's serious movies. And just when you thought the movie couldn't get any weirder, Aragog from Harry Potter shows up on the ship. It low-key reminded me of Interstellar with all the existential questions about life, but instead of Matthew McConaughey as the main actor, we have Happy Gilmore. I must say though, the sound design in this movie is actually incredible. It gives this mature cinematic feel that really helps you get immersed into the film. Ha! Gay! The movie just feels like a more mature and worse version of Click. 4.9 out of 10. Now I know for a fact this ranking is going to make a lot of Adam Sandler fans angry, but at number 42, I've got Little Nicky. So this movie starts off in hell, where Adam Sandler plays Nicky, the son of Satan, and I already hate his character. The voice is so irritating. I don't know how I'm going to get through 2 hours of this. Nicky's dad is a classic tough guy ruler of the underworld, and he has 2 older, way more chaotic brothers, Adrian and Cassius. These 2 dumb brothers manage to escape to Earth, and of course, they start wreaking havoc, turning people into creepy demonic versions of themselves, causing chaos, classic devil antics. Meanwhile, Nicky's dad is kinda old school and strict, so he sends Nicky to Earth to bring them back. Nicky is awkward, soft-spoken, and just a little annoying as the main character. This movie has a classic 2000s dark fantasy vibe to it. Kinda feels like a fever dream. Nicky tries to blend in on Earth, but obviously he can't really because he's a devil with an annoying voice. He ends up falling in love with a girl, going to heaven, and meeting the GOAT Chubb Peterson from Happy Gilmore. Low-key the only good part of the movie. The CGI is just laughable. Like, you can tell it was made in the early 2000s, and I disliked every horrid pixelated second of it.
What the hell is even that?
And of course, Nicky eventually has to step up and stop his brothers from turning Earth into literal hell. Along the way, he kinda figures himself out, learns his powers, and saves the day in the most over-the-top, kinda dumb way possible. The whole story's just all over the place. I saw someone on Reddit say that the plot of this movie seems like it was written by someone who was high, and I think that perfectly sums up the movie. That being said, I do see how some people love this movie. I think if I watched this for the first time as a kid, it would be one of those weirdly nostalgic movies you always love, but if you're seeing it for the first time in 2025, it's pretty rough. Overall, this movie is a huge drop-off from Sandler's insane streak of classics from the past couple years. Weird story, creepy vibes, poor execution, and Sandler's character just pissed me off. 5.1 out of 10. Next up, at number 40, we've got You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. Fun fact, Adam Sandler's youngest daughter is actually the main character in this movie, which is pretty cool. So the movie kicks off with Stacy and Danielle, 2 13-year-old girls who are best friends. At least they're supposed to be. Everything's cute and normal until drama hits. Danielle's getting ready for a big bat mitzvah, and of course, Stacy somehow feels left out. Every argument in this movie is so accurate to a middle school fight. It's one of those classic schoolgirl movies. I really love how Adam always somehow brings in his Jewish culture into all of his movies. It's quite heartwarming to see. Plus he's giving his daughters a huge spotlight in the film, which is kinda cool. Sunny Sandler actually does pretty well for her first big role, and she has that awkwardly charming, I might be the next big thing vibe. Back to the story, there's all the usual schoolgirl chaos, friendship drama, rivalries, blah blah blah. Stacy pulls a pretty evil move with a video at the end, which made me cringe so hard. Poor Danielle, you feel for her, but also you kinda just shake your head at how dramatic this all is. I wasn't really the target audience, so I did get a little bored at times. The movie isn't bad, it's just exactly what you expect it to be. It's a classic Netflix middle school comedy. Cute, harmless, predictable, but with a couple funny moments sprinkled in. 5.2 out of 10. Next up, we have a bit of a special one. At number 39, Adam Sandler's first animated movie, 8 Crazy Nights. The movie kicks off with Davy Stone, your typical messed up guy who's just trying to make it through life, and of course it's the holiday season. Right away you get the classic Christmas chaos vibe, but with a little Sandler edge. So yeah, it's not your normal wholesome animated holiday flick. We follow Davy just being unemployed, messing up, getting into trouble, and interacting with the weirdest cast of characters, including Whitey. So Whitey's supposed to be this funny and quirky character, but to be honest, after a while his voice just gets annoying. You know that one cartoon character who talks a lot and eventually just gets on your nerves? This movie is exactly what I expected it to be. A nice little Christmas animated movie made for kids. Well, for the most part. The movie hits all the beats you would expect from an animated Sandler Christmas movie. Ridiculous situations, gross jokes, some heartwarming stuff, and a little lesson to learn in the end. I wasn't super into it, but I can see how kids would enjoy it. Overall, it's exactly what I expected. Nothing mind-blowing, but alright for what it is. 5.7 out of 10. At number 38, we have another animation, Leo. So this movie starts with Leo, a 74-year-old tuatara, basically a giant lizard, who's been chilling in a 5th grade classroom for decades. He's super old and kinda tired of being stuck in the classroom, so he decides it's time to live a little before his last years tick by. Naturally, chaos erupts when he's accidentally taken home by a student. Now Leo's out in the real world, chilling with kids, learning about life, and trying not to freak out everyone around him. Sandler's voice acting in this is actually really good. His voice fits Leo perfectly. It's drowsy and soft, but also funny at times. Also, the animation is very nicely done. I low-key found it kinda slow and boring at times, but that's just because, again, I'm probably not the target audience. Kids would probably eat this up though. The movie does have some sweet moments to be fair, which is why this is a perfect movie to watch with your family. It's cute and simple, nothing mind-blowing, but solid if you're watching with kids or just want something chill. 5.8 out of 10. At number
37.
Another Netflix Sandler collaboration, Sandy Wexler. The movie kicks off with Sandy Wexler, the super weird talent manager in LA. Right away you realize this guy's a little cuckoo. He's got a fake laugh, applauds randomly, eats like a maniac, and lives in a cabana by a rich guy's pool for legal reasons. He has a very weird mix of clients, a ventriloquist, a comedian, a wrestler, and a daredevil stuntman. Then Sandy spots Courtney Clark singing at Six Flags, who's played by Jennifer Hudson, and convinces her to sign with him. He gives her a full makeover, records demos at a cheap studio, and her singles even start to take off. Eventually, Courtney's boyfriend convinces Sandy that he's holding her back from becoming a star, so Sandy, only wanting the best for her, steps away. Courtney becomes a big shot and even wins a Grammy, but eventually has a meltdown which leads her to sleeping with Sandy, but then wakes up the next day and decides she wants to leave Sandy and go get married with someone else. Truly heartbreaking stuff, man. But in classic Adam Sandler fashion, the movie ends with Sandy convincing his feelings to Courtney and they live happily ever after. Who would have guessed? What's cool about this movie is that it's actually based on Adam Sandler's real-life manager, Sandy Wernick. To be honest, this movie gets quite deep and emotional at times, despite being a comedy. It was an alright movie, nothing crazy, not terrible either. I got what they were trying to do with the movie, and it was a cool story, but I think it could have been executed way better. 5.9 out of 10. Next up, we've got yet another Netflix movie, and number 37, The Ridiculous Six. Not gonna lie, this movie was pretty disappointing. So Adam Sandler's playing a weird Native American white character called Tommy White Knife Dunson, who was like raised by a Native American tribe after his mom got killed, and right off the bat we noticed that this kid's got freakishly good aim. So Tommy's real dad rocks up after never being in his life all these years, claiming that he has 50k buried somewhere and if he doesn't give this freaky cartel the money, they're gonna kill him. This is where the movie should have ended. Like the dude mysteriously rocks up after 30 years claiming to be a father. Bit fishy, mate. Anyways, Adam Sandler being the hero he is, sets off on a journey to find the cash, leaving his beautiful bride to be at home. And along the way he finds his 5 long lost half brothers, and together they make the Ridiculous Six. Hence the movie title. There's Ramon, who's played by Rob Schneider, and remember that name because he's gonna come up a lot in the later films. Lil Pete, who's the dumb one, Herm, who's even dumber and can't speak English, Danny, who used to be Abraham Lincoln's bodyguard apparently, and Chico, played by Terry Crews. They team up and rob every place possible, banks, trains, pubs, you name it, to get the money together to save their father. I actually really love the scene where they invented the game of baseball. That was pretty funny. In the end, they save their dad, but wait, plot twist.
Oh my god! Wow!
Their dad is actually evil and set this whole thing up to get money from them. This movie really reminds me of Sextuplets, the film where they run around trying to find their twins. The plot is a good idea, the cast is great, but it's just not a good movie. It drags out quite a bit and kinda seemed like a waste of potential. I do gotta say, Greg Heffley's dad does an exceptional job in this movie. I loved him in this. 6.1 out of 10. Next up, at number 36, we have Spanglish. So Adam Sandler isn't playing a goofy man-child for once, but he's actually a serious chef named John Klasky. Which, side note, is apparently how half the world pronounces my name. It's Klaxy, people, not Klasky. Anyways, the story's told through the daughter's college essay, and it's basically a flashback to her childhood, which I thought was very well done. Her mum, Flor, is a single Mexican mother who barely speaks any English, and starts working as a housekeeper for Adam and his wife Deborah. Adam's a saint of a guy in this movie, like painfully nice. On the other hand, his wife is, a lot. She comes off as the classic, uptight, controlling mother and wife, but low-key at times I felt really bad for her. She just seems so misunderstood. Adam's daughter in this film is also creepily nice and well-mannered too, which is very refreshing to see, not gonna lie. Most kids her age are brats. Deb starts treating Christina, Floor's daughter, as her own, which I don't really see anything wrong with. She's just trying to make her feel welcome, but Floor flips out because she feels like she has no say in her daughter's life, I guess. And then on the other end, Deb and John's marriage is extremely rocky, and it turns out Deb cheated on him, which led to a lot of waterworks. John then gets really cozy with Floor, and they share this romantic moment in his restaurant where he cooks for her. Then at the end, Floor takes her daughter and they move away. I mean, it's quite a deep movie to be fair, and I can't help but feel for everyone in the movie. But it's just really confusing at times. The movie definitely tackles some real life relationship dynamic problems, which is cool, but I was kind of just waiting for it to finish near the end. It got a bit boring, sweet movie I guess, but I wasn't too much of a fan. Also, Adam wasn't really the main character in this movie, more like a supporting actor. 6.2 out of 10. At number 35, we have Hotel Transylvania 3, Summer Vacation. I'd definitely say it's the worst of the trilogy, but that's not to say it's a bad movie. The first two were just better. For those who somehow haven't seen any of the Hotel Transylvania movies, what are you doing, mate?
What are you doing, man?
But let me give you a quick recap. It's basically about monsters living in a hotel called Hotel Transylvania. Wow, who would have guessed? And this hotel is run by Dracula, who's voiced by Adam Sandler. Drac has a daughter, Mavis, who falls in love with a human, they have a baby, and now you're practically up to date. Dracula's still running the hotel, but the poor guy is all lonely and stressed, so Mavis decides to surprise him with the family vacation. On the monster cruise ship, Drac falls in love with Erica, who just so happens to be the great-granddaughter of a monster-hating human. So it turns out Erica is evil and is trying to kill Drac and his buddies. Half the movie is basically just Erica trying to kill Drac, and then finally, her great-grandfather comes out of retirement and unleashes a giant sea monster. Drac nearly dies, but Erica has a change of heart and saves him, and then Johnny, Drac's son-in-law, defeats the Kraken with his DJ skills, and then Drac proposes to Erica and they all live happily ever after. This is basically the ending to mostly every single Adam Sandler movie, so just be warned. I thought the animation in this movie was really well done, very captivating and fun. Everything's so exaggerated and stretchy. Some people might find it annoying, but I was entertained. It's just a classic kids animation, and you really just can't go wrong with that. 6.2 out of 10. Surprisingly, at number 34, we have Punch Drunk Love. Now don't get me wrong, it's a very symbolic movie, but it just wasn't my favorite. Sandler plays a socially awkward, lonely dude named Barry Egan, who sells toilet plungers. He has 7 extremely annoying sisters who make him crash out constantly.
I'm gonna break my monitor, I swear!
One morning, Barry picks up a random piano off the street. It's actually a harmonium, dude. Anyways, he goes on a blind date with this girl named Lena, which is set up by one of Barry's psycho sisters, and on the other hand, he gets caught up in a sex phone line scam, and is now getting chased by 4 big guys trying to beat him up and rob him. And then the next second he's in Hawaii chasing love. So this movie is really all over the place. This is a very chaotic, yet calming movie. It feels like one of those movies you have to write an essay about in high school. I will say, as confusing as the plot was, the cinematography in this film was off the charts. Like the scene where they meet up and kiss in Hawaii was pure cinema. It's a nice break from the typical movies Sandler usually makes, and despite the world doubting him, he did a bloody great job acting in this. It's an indie film I'd never expect Sandler to be casted in. It's really weird, but it's also kinda good. This is one of the few Sandler movies that addresses real problems of social awkwardness and vulnerability, as compared to his normal feel-good movies. Like, I really sat down and thought about life after finishing it. Personally, I wouldn't say it's a movie for me, but I see why people obsess over it. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie, which is why I've rated the movie higher than the others. I didn't love the movie, but it's nice. 6.2 out of 10. Next up, at number 33, we have Murder Mystery 2. 4 years after the first movie, Nick, played by Adam Sandler, and Audrey, played by Jennifer Aniston, are now full-time detectives. Except, they're broke and they suck at their job.
You suck!
Lucky for them, their rich buddy Vicstar123 invites them to this private island wedding. Yay, free vacation. Oh no, dead body on an elephant. So turns out, someone's dead, lucky it's not Vic, but wait, someone's kidnapped him. So Nick and Audrey are in another murder mystery. See what I did there? I said murder mystery because that's the name of the movie. Then comes in super detective Connor Miller, making an entrance eerily similar to Moto Moto from Madagascar. Now Nick and Audrey have $70 million in ransom money to hand off to Vic's kidnapper, but now they also end up getting kidnapped and accidentally crash into a cafe. And once again, Nick and Audrey are the prime suspects in the murder mystery case. Deja vu? Turns out, Special Agent Miller was actually behind the whole shtick, but Nick and Audrey save the day again. And just when you think it's over, oh no, turns out Vic's sister was also in on the plan. Wow, what a plot twist. The movie ends with Vic gifting Nick and Audrey $10 million for their help, but they end up getting robbed by the helicopter pilot, and the movie ends there. Which kind of makes me think that they're making a third murder mystery movie. The movie doesn't have too much replay value. It's definitely not as good as the first one, but it's still alright. 6.3 out of 10. Buckle up for number 32 as we've got Jack and Jill, arguably one of the most hated Sandler flicks. So Adam plays the role of twins in this movie. Jack is the normal golden child, while Jill is the loud, clingy child that never got love growing up. Jack's a successful ad executive, while Jill still doesn't have a life together and lives in their childhood home. The whole movie is practically just about Jack doing everything he can to get rid of Jill, cause he low-key hates her, while Jill just wants to be close to the only family she has left. Oh yeah, and did I mention Al Pacino's in this movie too? Yes, the dude from The Godfather and Scarface. Like, these are the same people.
Say hello to my little friend.
Not only is it weird how Michael Corleone is in this movie, but he also falls in love with the female version of Adam Sandler, which is just, what the hell?
What the hell's going on over here?
There's scenes in this movie that will genuinely make you question why the hell you're even watching the movie in the first place. I agree it's not Sandler's finest work, but I don't think it deserves all the hate it gets. It's funny and enjoyable, at times. I'm just gobsmacked at how they managed to get Al Pacino, Johnny Depp, and Shaq all in the same movie. Like, how big was the budget for this film? It had a wholesome ending, but Adam definitely has better movies. It's not the best, but it isn't as bad as people say it is. 6.5 out of 10. Next up, at number 31, we have Bulletproof. Adam Sandler and Damon Wayans in the same movie. Wow. I have extremely high expectations for this movie. So Adam plays a character named Archie Moses, who's a criminal, alongside his buddy, Rock Keats. But turns out, his friend is actually an undercover cop. Whoa. Of course, this ends with Moses accidentally shooting Keats in the head, but somehow he survives because he's bulletproof. While Keats is recovering, he falls in love with his nurse, and now they're dating. Yay! Keats and Moses kinda hate each other now because one betrayed the other and the other nearly killed the one, so it's kind of awkward when Keats has to escort Moses to testify against a drug lord. Of course, everything goes sideways, and in true Adam Sandler fashion, there's a plot twist. Turns out, Keats' hot nurse girlfriend is actually behind the whole operation and tries to kill him. Moses and Keats make up, kiss, and they sail off in the sunset together as best buddies. It's an alright movie. It's not amazing, not terrible either. A couple laughs here and there, but didn't live up to my expectations, not gonna lie. However, this movie was made in the early stages of their career, so I'll let them off. It's one of those watch once and move on kind of films. 6.6 out of 10. Taking the 30th spot on the list is The Cobbler. This is a bit of a weird concept, but kind of enjoyable at the same time. I'm gonna be honest, the first time I watched this movie, I didn't like it, but the second time round it was actually somewhat enjoyable. So basically Adam Sandler's a cobbler, and for anyone under the age of 60, a cobbler is practically someone who fixes shoes.
I just saved myself $150.
So Adam lives a pretty miserable life until he finds a secret magic machine that lets him literally turn into the people whose shoes he repairs. At first he goes around doing stupid stuff and kissing other people's girlfriends, but then it turns really dark when he turns into a gang leader and eventually kills someone. So, is this supposed to be a kids movie? Not gonna lie, the movie gets a bit boring during some parts. I think the idea behind the movie is genius, but the way it was executed was a bit boring. There were a lot of useless moments in the movie that just didn't need to be there, like the girl he has a crush on who looks young enough to be his daughter. The only reason I have this movie so high on the list is because of the cool plot twist at the end, where it turns out his dad is actually secretly alive and was disguised as his friend the entire time. I think the best way to describe this movie is that it's like a superhero movie, only with shoes. Like, imagine the Spider-Man plot, but instead of climbing walls, he fixes shoes for a living. 6.7 out of 10. In the number 29 spot, we've got yet another Netflix original, The Week Of. I actually watched this movie with my mum when it first released, and it was a good laugh. Very chaotic and all over the place, but still kinda cool. It's definitely very different to what I imagined an Adam Sandler and Chris Rock movie would be like. The movie's based around the wedding week, and all the preparations and stuff that go into Adam's daughter's and Chris's son's wedding. Adam, for once, is the broke dude working a normal job who insists on paying fully for the wedding with the $5 he has to his name. And Chris Rock is a kinda snobby, divorced surgeon who's swimming in money and women. The heart of the movie is practically just Adam working himself tirelessly, just trying to give his daughter the wedding of her dreams without taking any help from Chris Rock. And of course, everything that could go wrong, goes wrong. But under all the chaos, this movie is actually kinda sweet. Adam's so desperate to make his daughter happy, and he goes to the ends of the earth just to see her smile. Even if that means carrying an old man to the bathroom every time he has to poop. Chris Rock's low-key a douchebag in this movie, but they both end up sharing a cheeky little heartfelt moment at the end. All's well that ends well. Great balance between emotional and comedy. 6.7 out of 10. Next up, at number 28, we have Hotel Transylvania 2. Bro, Dennis is so cute in this movie. Some very iconic moments in this film as well.
You feel me now? That's my girlfriend, suckers.
Your wife, Johnny.
My wife, even better.
Very good sequel to the original, and honestly, only just worse than the first movie. This one follows up after the last film. Mavis and Johnny are getting married, everyone's happy, and then a couple months later, a little baby Dennis pops out.
Blah, blah, blah.
Drac, being the paranoid grandfather he is, stresses out about whether his kid will turn out to be a vampire or not. So to bring the monster out of Dennis, Drac secretly trains him by taking the baby on the most dangerous adventures you can think of. All while Mavis and Johnny are totally clueless while they're enjoying their little getaway. Mavis falls in love with California and starts considering moving there so Dennis can grow up in a safer environment. How ungrateful! I mean, name one time Drac has put Dennis in an unsafe situation. Okay, fair enough. And then to make things even crazier, Drac's dad shows up, and he hates humans. In the end, Dennis ends up growing fangs and becoming a vampire, and they all live happily ever after in Hotel Transylvania. Surprisingly good sequel to the first. 6.7 out of 10. At number 27, I have Sandler's latest flick, Happy Gilmore 2. See, Hotel Transylvania was a great sequel to the first. I don't know if the same can be said about this movie. I think maybe because the original movie was so good and iconic, it's kinda hard for anything to really even come close to that. The movie starts off with the most beautiful woman on this planet, Julie Bowen. Oh, how I've missed you. What? They kill off Julie Bowen in the first 3 minutes? I actually fell to my knees when they killed off Virginia. I can't believe it.
Oh my god.
This is betrayal at its finest. I'll never forgive you for this, Adam Sandler. Now, besides ruining the whole movie in the first 3 minutes, it actually isn't that bad. After his wife dies, the movie gets a bit messy. Happy becomes an alcoholic, loses all his money, and is now living with his daughter, Vienna, who's his actual daughter in real life, as well as his 4 maniac sons. Oh, and Carl Gallagher is one of Adam Sandler's sons in this movie, a crossover I never thought I'd see. So Vienna has a dream of going to ballet school, but one problem, it costs a measly $75,000 a year. What? Yeah, sorry to my future daughter, but I am not sending you to Paris for $75,000 when you can learn the same dance on YouTube at home. Anyways, so this is basically Happy's motivation to play golf again. Turns out Shooter McGavin's still in prison after all these years, but gets bailed out by a dude trying to kill off traditional golf with his new brain rot, Maxi Golf League. It's cool how Shooter is one of the good guys in this movie, so Happy teams up with some golfers who are actual golfers in real life, and it turns out they're actually really good. And they go head to head with the Maxi golfers who actually have body modifications made to them so they can hit the ball further. Isn't that cheating? Oh, and I forgot to mention, Bad Bunny is Happy's caddy, lol. I'm not gonna lie, 80% of the cameos in this movie are rubbish, but Bad Bunny is one of the good ones. He's actually one of my favorite characters in this movie. We even get a cheeky Bad Friends cameo.
I'm not Bobby Mata. I'm Bobby Mom.
And my goat is back! Traditional golf wins in the end, and obviously, Happy Gilmore wins it for them. Surprise, surprise, who would have thought? And the movie ends with my wife in the sky looking down on Happy. Honestly, this movie feels like it was made for 12-year-old brain-rotted kids. which I guess it kind of was. The plot is kind of weird, the cameos are a hit and miss. It's a cool movie to watch, especially for a die-hard fan of the original. I think maybe the nostalgia made me like this movie more than I expected. 6.7 out of 10. In the number 26 spot, we have Funny People. Adam Sandler, Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill, and Leslie Mann in a movie called Funny People. I better be snorting milk through my nose laughing the entire time. Adam Sandler is casted as George Simmons, who's a very successful comedian, but is extremely lonely and also has cancer and is about to die. Then enters Seth Rogen, who always dreamed of becoming a stand-up comedian, and he suddenly gets the call up of his dreams, an opportunity to write jokes for Adam Sandler. It's a really interesting duo. Adam has all the money and the fame in the world, but he's so empty inside he practically pays for someone to hang out with him. It's actually an extremely deep movie, because the irony is, the movie's called Funny People, but it highlights how the people who make others laugh are usually the saddest people inside. Anyways, after hearing her ex is about to die soon, Laura, played by Leslie Mann, decides to give George another shot at love, even though she has 2 kids and a husband. Weird. But then turns out the treatment worked and George is now cured, but oopsies, Laura and George slept together and now her Australian husband is pissed.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Also, Slim Shady makes a special appearance. In the end, George is still an asshole, he doesn't really learn anything, Laura decides to ditch him and stick with her Aussie husband, and Ira becomes a big shot. The idea behind the movie was really cool and emotional, but there was no need for the movie to be 2.5 hours long. It just drags out towards the end. I really love the concept of the film though. It just shows how lonely you can be, even if you have all the money and the fame in the world. Even if your job is to put a smile on people's faces, sometimes you're just dead inside. Alright movie, not his best work. 6.8 out of 10. Next up, number 25, we have the original Hotel Transylvania. You'll notice I have the first 2 movies ranked extremely close to each other, and that's because they're both actually really good. I think ultimately the original takes the edge, maybe just due to nostalgia bias. Dracula, voiced by Sandler, builds a hotel as a safe haven for monsters, but more importantly, to protect his daughters from humans. We get introduced to all these wacky monsters voiced by all of Sandler's friends.
Hey, dude man, I'm a dude man.
Mavis is turning 118, which is like 18 in human years, so they throw a big party for her, and to celebrate her birthday, Drac lets her out of the hotel for the first time in 118 years. Wow. And I thought my mom was strict. Turns out Drac set up this whole elaborate village filled with terrifying humans just to scare Mavis back to the hotel. So after spending over a century protecting his daughter from humans, Mavis does the only logical thing to thank her father. She falls in love with a human backpacker. Drac tries to hide Johnny from the other monsters so they don't freak out, and he ends up disguising himself as Johnny Stein, Frankenstein's distant cousin or something. Anyways, the rest of the movie is just goofy shenanigans, and I bet you won't guess what happens in the end. Mavis and Johnny fall in love and they all live happily ever after. Wow, I did not see that coming. But all jokes aside, this is an absolute classic animated movie, up there with some of the greats. I'll admit, now that I'm older, I got a bit bored of watching it, but as a kid, this movie was everything to me. For that reason, I'm giving this movie a 6.8 out of 10. Next up at number 24, we have I Now Pronounce You, Chuck and Larry. We get an Adam Sandler and Kevin James masterclass in this movie. They're both New York firefighters. Chuck, played by Sandler, is a bachelor who just sleeps around, and Larry is a widowed dad who's still grieving his wife's death. I'm just gonna use their real names because I keep forgetting who's who, but Kevin saves Sandler in a fire, and now since Sandler owes him his life, Kevin somehow convinces him to get married just so his kids can get insurance money or something like that. In short, it's a sham wedding, but obviously that's illegal, so now they go through every hurdle possible to prove they're actually gay.
Why are you gay?
Jessica Biel shows up as their lawyer, and Sandler falls in love with her immediately. Can't blame the dude. And ultimately, they end up having to prove their marriage in court, and they somehow win the case. Yay! Another happy ending. The movie had a lot of funny moments, as was expected from a Kevin and Sandler movie.
When I used to climb the rope in gym class, I wished it was a guy.
I wouldn't say this was either of their finest works. However, for Kevin's first major role, he did a great job, and Sandler did a good job stepping out of the spotlight a bit and letting his friend shine. It's a nice little buddy comedy. 6.9 out of 10. In the number 23 spot, we have yet another Adam Sandler Kevin James masterpiece, Pixels. This is another one of Sandler's films that is criminally overhated. Adam Sandler plays the role of Brenner, a geeky nerd who loves retro arcade games and installs TVs for a living, while his best friend Will, played by Kevin James, is literally the president of the United States. So the whole plot of the movie is that aliens attack Earth, and each attack is based off a retro arcade game. For example, Galaga, Centipede, and Pac-Man. And the only way to defeat these aliens before they pixelate the whole world is to beat them at their own game. If only we knew someone who was good at video games in this movie. Oh wait, we do! They even recruit Tyrion Lannister to help them defeat Pac-Man. And in the end scene, Brenner defeats Donkey Kong, he wins, saves Earth, and of course, marries the hottest chick in the movie. Classic Adam Sandler. I think people just take this movie way too seriously. Just enjoy the movie for what it is. It's not that deep, bro. Just shut up and have a laugh, mate.
Shut up, Meg.
7 out of 10. Next up, number 22, we have Hustle. Again, this will piss a lot of people off, but don't get me wrong, it's a great movie. It's just not better than the other 21 movies ahead of it. This is one of Sandler's newer movies, and it's a nice breath of fresh air. Adam Sandler plays the role of an NBA scout for the 76ers. His boss Rex likes him so much, he promotes him to assistant coach, but then Rex dies and his son Vince, who takes over, hates Sandler and demotes him back to a scout. So Sandler's back on the road trying to find the next big thing until he stumbles upon Bo Cruz, who's played by a real life NBA player. However, Vince doesn't see the vision and tells Sandler no, so Adam throws a hissy fit and quits. So Sandler smuggles Bo into the US, trains him Rocky style, and tries to get him into the draft combine so he can get picked to go to the big leagues. Sandler has his whole career riding on this kid, but then everything that could go wrong, goes wrong. Turns out Bo has an assault charge back home, so now he's getting flamed by the industry, and also Kermit the Frog is being an absolute asshole to Bo. Everything just falls apart. But of course, it all works out in the end. Bo gets drafted by the Celtics, Sandler gets his coaching job back, and Bo has a very successful career in the NBA. I love me a sports movie with a good ending, and this movie is exactly that. This is my second time watching it, and it was just as enjoyable as the first. The movie low-key made me hate Anthony Edwards though. 7.2 out of 10. In the number 21 spot, we have Anger Management. Holy cow, this movie pissed me off so much. I actually watched this movie a while back and I thought it was pretty average, but after watching it again, I really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna need for you to retard your anger level a few notches and listen to me. Can you do that?
Oh, yeah. It's retarded. I'm retarded.
Dave Busnick is a mild-mannered dude with repressed anger issues thanks to his childhood trauma. So after boarding a flight, getting tasered by an air marshal, and wrongly convicted of assault, Dave gets sentenced to anger management therapy. But the therapist running the show, Buddy Rydell, is a D1 rage baiter. From there on, majority of the movie is just Buddy trying everything in his power to piss off Dave. He annoys him at work, sabotages his relationship, and basically just gaslights him until he finally breaks down. Jack Nicholson was the perfect actor for this role. This man could honestly make Gandhi crash out.
Keep on smiling. Oh, shit! I said over easy!
In the end, Dave publicly proposes to his girlfriend at a Yankees game, and plot twist, this was all a setup. Buddy, the judge, the flight attendant, everyone was a paid actor to help Dave finally propose to his girlfriend. I originally thought this movie was pretty bland, but rewatching it definitely changed my mind. It's a weird but clever spin on a rom-com. Ironically, this movie made me extremely mad. 7.3 out of 10. Cracking into the top 20, we have Murder Mystery. This movie is bloody great. I don't care what anyone says. I love me an Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston link up. Nick Spitz is a New York cop who's basically a mall cop, but tells his wife Audrey that he's a big shot in his department. Audrey just wants the European honeymoon Nick promised her 15 years ago, so on the anniversary, he cracks under pressure, and now they're on a plane to Europe. While on the flight, Audrey befriends billionaire Charles Cavendish, who invites the two of them on a rich people yacht party. Oh, and someone gets murdered and now they're playing Cluedo in real life. The rich uncle who owns the yacht gets stabbed, and now everyone's pointing fingers because everyone kinda hated the guy. Cue a bunch of car chases, secret affairs, dramatic monologues, and that's practically what this movie is about. In the end, they catch the killer, but then there's another killer too, because you know what's better than one plot twist? Two. Somehow Nick and Audrey save the day, and Nick finally gets that promotion back home he always wanted. What a great movie. I liked it way more the first time around, obviously because I didn't know any of the plot twists or anything, but it's still a fun movie to watch. I expected nothing less from Sandler and Aniston. However, as good as the movie is, it doesn't really have too much replay value. 7.3 out of 10. Next up, at number 19, we have Hubie Halloween. Okay, before I get roasted for having this movie so high up, let me land. I know this movie is low-key stupid, and Adam Sandler's character is an idiot, but oh my gosh, Julie Bowen is just the most beautiful woman in the world. She single-handedly carries this entire movie. Hubie Dubois is one of Sandler's characters with a stupid voice, but I've come to accept it and enjoy it. Hubie is the nicest man you'll ever meet, but is the laughing stock of the entire town of Salem, and no one respects him. He's one of those typical boys who still lives with his mum, rides his bicycle everywhere, carries around a thermos that has like every single thing in the world hidden in it, and spends Halloween making sure no one causes trouble. So instead, trouble finds him. His new neighbor turns out to be a 400-year-old werewolf, and people are mysteriously disappearing one by one on Halloween night. For some reason, everyone points a finger at Hubie because they all think he's like that weird quiet kid at school who everyone tries to be nice to because one day he might just blow up the entire school. But in classic Sandler fashion, it turns out his sweet old mother is the real kidnapper. Turns out she was sick of everyone picking on her son, so she kidnapped them all as justice. In the end, Hubie saves the day, wins the girl he's had a crush on since middle school, who turns out to love him back too. Oh, what I wouldn't do to be Hubie right now.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
A year later, he somehow bags the most beautiful girl in Salem, scratch that, in the world, and now everyone loves Hubie and he's also the mayor of Salem. I actually don't know why I love this movie so much, but I did. It's just one of those comfort movies that becomes your yearly tradition. The cast is stacked, and I love the part where Shaq turns out to be the radio host. Also, Julie Bowen alone probably bumped this movie up 15 places for me. New Halloween staple, 7.3 out of 10. Next up, at number 18, we have Bedtime Stories. Skeeter Bronson, played by Sandler, is the son of a man who owns a small family hotel, until the dad goes under, so he ends up selling his business with the promise that his son will one day run it. Fast forward to today, Sandler's not the manager, he's just the handyman who goes around fixing things and is treated like garbage. The owner of the hotel wants to retire and pass the business on, so he hosts a competition between his son-in-law and Skeeter. Whoever comes up with the best idea for a new hotel gets to take over the business. Things get kinda weird when Skeeter has to babysit his niece and nephew, and also this extremely weird and creepy guinea pig. So at bedtime he makes up these ridiculous stories to put them to sleep. But the weird thing is that whatever the kids say in the story comes true in real life. From gumballs raining from the sky to random dwarf attacks, it finally hits Skeeter that maybe the kids have magical powers. So every night he tries to get the kids to tell him stories that will help him in real life, and in this case, win the hotel contest. But of course, in Sandler fashion, nothing goes to plan. The kids predict that Skeeter's gonna catch on fire during his boss's birthday tomorrow, which is when he's supposed to make the pitch, so now he's extremely paranoid. Turns out he wasn't getting lit on fire, but instead getting fired. Get it? Fired, fire. Anyways, in the end he ends up saving the school from getting destroyed to build the new hotel, Skeeter ends up kissing the hot teacher, and he ends the movie opening his own hotel in the honor of his dad. So a very sweet ending. The GOAT is back! The whole bedtime story comes to life idea was really out of the box and quite entertaining. I really love movies like this. It kind of reminds me of The Truman Show or The Invention of Lying. The ending was predictable, but still felt super good. I'm 20 years old and still enjoyed the movie a lot, but if I watched this as a kid, it probably would have blown my mind. 7.4 out of 10. In the number 17 spot, we have an Adam Sandler classic, Mr. Deeds. So this movie kicks off with billionaire Preston Blake freezing to death on top of Mount Everest. Bit of a weird way to start off a rom-com. Well anyways, his entire empire, $40 billion to be exact, has nowhere to go because the dude never had kids, any family, nothing. So it somehow falls in the lap of Longfellow Deeds, a small town pizzeria owner whose dream is to one day write cheesy greeting cards. So after the lawyers and stuff find Deeds, they take him to New York where he meets Leon, who by the way, is the star of this movie in my opinion, and he also meets a bunch of corporate sharks who are trying to buy him out. Then struts in the prettiest actress Sandler could find in 2002, Winona Ryder, who's secretly a reporter but fakes being a school nurse to get inside information from Deeds. Obviously she ends up falling in love with him, and so does he, but then Deeds finds out that she lied, so heartbroken, he runs back home. In the end, the shareholders try to kick out Deeds, but he wins their hearts, and it turns out Emilio is actually the billionaire's son and the true heir to the $40 billion, which was a nice little plot twist.
I'm rich! It's payday, fellas!
There was some very funny and heartfelt moments in this movie. We also had the bro Nazo from Big Daddy make an appearance too. Very cute scenes here and there. Once again, a very predictable movie. It's just a classic Sandler rom-com. Sweet guy meets a beautiful woman, something goes wrong, happy ending. It's classic, but it's good. Also, Sandler and Winona Ryder worked really well together in this movie. 7.4 out of 10. Up next, number 16, we have Grown Ups 2. Practically all movies after this point are just bloody great. I have to say, this is probably Adam Sandler's best sequel. It's not as good as the first, but it's still really good. This movie takes place 3 years after the original, and it still has that comedic charm. Lenny Feder and his family moved back to his hometown, and straight away, things are just chaos. Like literally the first scene has a deer running around the house peeing everywhere.
Oh, that's cold.
The sequel brings back everyone from the original, besides my knight in shining armor, Rob Schneider. Eric's struggling with parenting, Kurt's finally got a job and isn't a stay-at-home husband anymore, and Marcus has a teenage kid who wants to kill him. The plot isn't that deep, but that's the magic Grown Ups has. It's just Adam Sandler and his friends hanging out and filming it basically. Lenny ends up throwing a huge 80s throwback house party to relive the old days, but then these douchey frat boys crash and all hell breaks loose. In the end, everyone's at Eric's mum's house eating pancakes and reminiscing on the good old days. This was a great follow-up to an amazing sequel. It has everything I expect from a Sandler movie. Wacky cameos, funny jokes, a little bit of romance sprinkled in. It's just a great movie. I really hope they make a part 3 one day, but I'm not holding my breath. 7.5 out of 10. And number 15, we have That's My Boy. This movie is crazy from start to finish, and Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg are the perfect duo for it. So the movie starts with young Donnie, who as a 13-year-old lives every high school boy's fantasy, hooking up with his teacher.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
After his teacher goes to prison, Donnie's stuck raising the kid on his own. For a moment there, Donnie's on top of the world. Everyone knows and respects this kid like crazy. But of course, fast forward a couple decades, and Donnie's now a washed up drunk who never really grew up. So after being separated from his son for nearly a decade, he tries reconnecting with him, but his son's the exact opposite of Donnie, and is low-key embarrassed of his father. He has a successful career, is about to get married, and even changed his name so no one figured out who his dad was. Donnie ends up finding him, and slowly they get closer, and the whole movie is just chaos at its finest. In the end, it turns out Todd's bride-to-be is actually sleeping with her brother, so yeah, there's that.
Oh, that's nasty.
The ending was classic though. It ties it all together perfectly with the right mix of chaos and heartfelt. The chemistry between Sandler and Samberg is what really makes the movie. It's a funny concept executed perfectly. This movie doesn't get enough credit. 7.6 out of 10. Next up in the number 14 spot, we have You Don't Mess with the Zohan. This is probably one of my favorite characters Sandler's ever played. So Sandler's this superhuman Israeli counter-terrorist who secretly dreams of becoming a hairstylist. I mean, Zohan has it all. Hot woman, superhuman skills, everyone loves him, but he's tired of fighting and he just wants to live a simple life, cutting hair. So he fakes his death by the hands of the Phantom and escapes to America under the alias Scrappy Coco. Zohan falls in love with this Palestinian boss who actually turns out to be the Phantom's sister. I mean, the whole movie is just filled with chaos. In the end, the Phantom and Zohan team up to take down Michael Buffer and save the block from being demolished. The movie has so many funny characters and bits, which is kind of what makes the movie so entertaining. John Turturro does a great job playing the Phantom. And Nick's also so funny in this movie too, but my favorite character has to be Rob Schneider playing the cabbie plotting revenge. There's also a lot of sweet moments, like Zohan falling in love with Dahlia, or even the Phantom admitting he doesn't want to be the bad guy anymore and his dream was to always sell shoes. It's over the top in every way, but that's what makes the movie so entertaining. It's stupid, funny, and kinda wholesome in the end. There wasn't a moment in this movie where I wasn't laughing.
It looks very dangerous. It's very nice. Easy bubbly.
This movie single-handedly solved racism. 7.6 out of 10. At number 13, we have The Do-Over. I'm not gonna lie, this movie really surprised me. An Adam Sandler and David Spade masterclass. Instead of being a classic goofy comedy, which is what I expected, it was actually a perfect blend of action, drama, and some real plot twists. Charlie, played by Spade, is stuck in his miserable life, terrible wife, annoying stepkids, and a dead-end job. Then comes along his old buddy Max, played by Sandler, who claims he's an FBI agent, fakes both of their deaths by blowing up a yacht, and suddenly they're living new lives as different people. As far as anyone else is concerned, Charlie and Max are both dead. From there, things get hectic quick. Mansions, money, assassins, and an underground cancer cure conspiracy. What I loved is the plot kept shifting. You think it's just a fun little comedy, then suddenly hitmen and millions of dollars in cash is involved. Charlie and Max get caught in the middle of a murder, they try hunt down who did it, and it turns out the killer was right there under their noses the entire time. But the plot twist when Max reveals he has cancer, and this whole shtick was an elaborate plan to help get the cancer cure, was low-key mind-blowing. And don't get me wrong, the movie is very funny too. Sandler and Spade have great chemistry, as expected, and the movie doesn't let you forget it's still a comedy. This was a surprisingly heartfelt buddy movie that had the perfect balance of comedy, action, and emotions. 7.7 out of 10. In the number 12 spot, we have The Longest Yard. This movie's a classic. I actually only just found out it's a remake of the original released in 1974. Regardless, what a great movie and really good casting too. Adam Sandler plays Paul Crewe, a washed up NFL quarterback who gets locked up in prison after he steals his girlfriend's car and sparks up a police chase at 2 in the morning. The prison warden kinda blackmails Crewe to put together a football team of inmates to play against the guards as a warm-up game before their season. What starts off as a joke kinda turns into something much bigger and deeper. Crew teams up with Caretaker, played by none other than Marty from Madagascar, and also Nate Scarborough, who played Paul Crewe in the original movie back in 1974. They end up recruiting a bunch of criminals who eventually bond over their hatred of the prison guards, and suddenly, Mean Machine is born. The cast here is stacked. Chris Rock, Terry Crews, and even the great Carly. The movie perfectly balances comedy and heart, and the scene with the caretaker actually broke my heart. In the end, the guards go up against Mean Machine, and the warden threatens Crew to throw the game, otherwise he would pin the caretaker's death on him and make his life a living hell. Crew fakes an injury and sits out the game, but in true Sandler spirit, comes back, redeems himself, and leads Mean Machine to a victory. It's a classic football movie, one of the staples in Sandler's career. Like I said before, I love me a sports movie with a nice ending. This movie was crack up too.
Jesus Christ, my savior. If you help me out with this one, I promise to stop cheating on my wife with black eyes. Amen.
7.9 out of 10. Next, at number 11, is arguably one of Sandler's greatest films, Uncut Gems. This movie was so close to making the top 10, but I just couldn't put it above any of the other movies. But please believe me when I say, this movie is unreal. I know I said before I don't enjoy Sandler's serious movies, but this one is just insane. Adam Sandler takes on one of his most serious roles as Howard Ratner, a New York jeweler buried under gambling debts, a failing marriage, and non-stop chaos. And when I say non-stop chaos, I mean it. So he gets his hands on this black opal from Ethiopia, which he is convinced is the answer to all his problems, thinking he can auction it off for millions and pay off all his debts. But instead, he lends it to NBA superstar Kevin Garnett. Seeing the luck it brings Garnett, Howard starts placing 5-figure parlays on him and ends up digging himself in an even deeper hole of debt. I didn't even know I had anxiety until I watched this movie. There's just so much chaos in just 2 hours of this film. Fights, cheating, money, gambling, it has it all. So when KG finally returns the opal, he offers to buy it from Howard, which would have been perfect. I mean, he could have literally taken the money and paid back everyone he's in debt to, but of course, Mr. Greedy declines and instead bets everything he has on Kevin Garnett's next game to pay back his brother-in-law and his goons. And to be honest, I don't even want to spoil what happens next, but just know, you're in for a treat. The ending to this movie had my jaw on the floor, just blankly staring at my computer screen. This movie is pure stress from start to finish. Like I've never actually been so stressed in my life before. The way this movie is filmed is unbelievable. It actually makes you feel like you're part of it. Adam Sandler fully deserved an Oscar for his performance in Uncut Gems. So intense, so raw and tragic. It's so crazy to think that this is the same guy that played Bobby Boucher in Waterboy. To be honest, I enjoyed this movie more on the rewatch than the first time. Phenomenal storytelling and one of Sandler's greatest performances ever. 8 out of 10. Now cracking into the big top 10 is one of Sandler's best rom-coms, Blended. Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore are the greatest rom-com duo ever, and I will die by this. All 3 of their rom-coms are in my top 10. Lauren, played by Drew, has 2 sons, while Jim, played by Adam, is a widower with 3 daughters. It all starts when Jim takes Lauren on a blind date to Hooters, which is a complete disaster, and they low-key just hate each other. After their horrible date, they bump into each other accidentally at a pharmacy, where Jim's trying to buy pads for his daughter, and Lauren's buying a nudie magazine for her son? How forward thinking of her. They accidentally mix up their credit cards, so Jim goes to return it back to Lauren, and one thing leads to another, and now they both end up in Africa with their families, by coincidence, at the same time. So now they're stuck together in a blended family honeymoon. The kids start bonding, and of course, Jim and Lauren start falling in love. Jim is a great father figure for Lauren's sons, and Lauren's a great mother figure for Jim's daughters, so everything just works out perfectly. In the end, when they go back home, Jim and his kids go to Lauren's son's baseball game, where they share a kiss to close out the movie. Sandler and Barrymore hit a hat trick with this movie. First The Wedding Singer, then 50 First Dates, and now Blended, all phenomenal movies proving once again they are arguably the best rom-com duo ever. Sandler as a dad is surprisingly amazing. I mean, just imagine Adam Sandler being your dad. How cool would that be? This is just a classic feel-good rom-com with a nice little twist to it. Also, Terry Crews was the real MVP of this movie. Great movie, loved every minute of it, 8 out of 10. Taking the 9th spot is a true Sandler classic, The Waterboy. Arguably one of Sandler's greatest characters he's ever played. Bobby Boucher is a socially awkward, stuttering waterboy in Louisiana who lives with his overprotective mother.
I lost my position as the team's water distribution engineer.
After getting bullied non-stop for being the water boy, Bobby finally snaps and flattens one of the football players, which really impresses the coach, so Bobby gets promoted from water distribution engineer to the starting linebacker with anger issues. At first, no one really likes him besides this boy named Derek, who's actually pretty nice to him. With the help of Bobby's anger issues, he leads the Mud Dogs to the finals for the first time in like forever, and on the other hand, Bobby also has a little something going on with his childhood crush, Vicky Valancourt. His mother, being the overprotective mom she is, fakes being sick so Bobby would stop playing football, but in the end she comes around and they finally win the Bourbon Bowl. The movie closes out with Bobby marrying Vicky and them driving off in the sunset together in his little old lawnmower. The movie is the perfect balance of goofy, funny, and cute. It's one of the earlier films in his career, but oh man, as you'll see later on in this ranking, his 90s movies are his best. This movie is extremely nostalgic to me as well. Peak Adam Sandler, 8 out of 10. Coming in at number 8, we have yet another Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore masterclass, The Wedding Singer. Adam Sandler plus Drew Barrymore equals rom-com masterpiece. Adam Sandler plays the role of Robbie Hart, a wedding singer whose dream is to become a rock star. He meets Julia, played by Drew Barrymore, at a wedding they're both working at. But unfortunately, they're both stuck in toxic relationships. Robbie's with Linda, and Julia's with cheating Glenn. But they both share this little heartfelt moment where Linda makes Robbie promise that he will sing at her wedding. Cut to Robbie's wedding day with Linda, but oh wait, something's missing. The bride. She doesn't show up, Robbie's devastated, he spirals into depression, becoming an absolute sad sex. Meanwhile, Julia's wedding prep starts, and this marks the beginning of Robbie and Julia's love story. Robbie finally realizes he's in love with Julia, but it's just too late. So he rushes to the airport to confess his love in a classic romance airport scene, and they somehow end up on the same flight. Robbie pulls out one of my favorite scenes in a movie ever, and sings possibly my favorite song from a movie.
It could be so nice growing old with you.
Everyone on the plane joins in, Glenn freaks out, and Robbie and Julia finally admit they're in love with each other. This movie is the first film Sandler and Barrymore work together in, and it's just magic.
Magic.
The end scene on the plane gave me literal goosebumps. Is the movie predictable? Yeah, 100%. Do I care? No. 8 out of 10. In the number 7 spot, we have yet another 90s classic, Billy Madison. So Billy Madison is a 27-year-old man-child who's the heir to his father's massive hotel empire and spends most of his time partying, drinking, and doing God knows what.
So hot. Want to touch the hiney.
I mean, I guess when you're rich, you can do whatever the hell you want, and that's exactly what Billy's life is. Well, up until his dad Brian is fed up with him and threatens to hand over the company to Eric Gordon, his VP, unless Billy can prove to him that he's responsible enough. So Billy proposes that he will redo his entire school life in just 24 weeks. I'm talking entire school life, like grades 1 to 12. So he starts at the bottom of the barrel in grade 1, and already this movie is funny. So every time Billy graduates a grade, his dad throws him a huge project perfect ex-mansion party to celebrate. But it would be a pretty boring movie without a little love now, wouldn't it? So enter Billy's 3rd grade teacher, Veronica Vaughn, who at first thinks Billy is a washed up loser with nothing going on in his life, which he kind of is, but she starts falling for him after seeing how nice of a guy Billy truly is. By the time he reaches high school, Billy learns a lot of life lessons and even makes amends with his old classmates he used to bully. In the end, to settle who takes over the company, Billy and Eric go head to head in an academic decathlon where Billy barely edges out Eric, who tries to shoot up the place, but the dude Billy used to bully back in the day comes back and saves the day. Billy finally ends up graduating but realizes he's probably not fit to run $1 billion company, so he instead hands it off to his loyal operations manager Carl, and Billy instead decides to become a teacher. This movie has that classic goofy energy Adam Sandler is so well known for. Despite it being over 20 years old, it still holds up after all this time. This movie is just great. It started the classic run of great family movies Adam Sandler is known for. Classic plotline executed well. Gives off that nostalgic feeling. 8 out of 10. Next up in number 6 we have Just Go With It, an Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston classic. To be honest, I get this movie and Blended mixed up quite a bit. Despite them both having similar plots, they're just both great movies. The movie starts off in 1988, where Danny, played by young Adam Sandler, bails on his wedding after finding out his fiancée is only marrying him for his money. All sad and mopey and looking like Pinocchio, he hits the bar, lies about being married, and ends up hooking up with the hottest chick in the bar. This sparks the start of this brilliant lifelong idea of faking being married to pick up women. Fast forward to present time, Danny's now a successful plastic surgeon, and he's also successfully removed that bloody truck off his face. He's still using the fake marriage scam to pick up chicks, and his assistant, Catherine, played by Aniston, is the only one who really knows the truth. Danny ends up meeting a girl named Palmer, who seems perfect. Only problem is she finds the ring and thinks Danny's cheating on his wife, but instead of coming clean like any normal person would, Danny makes up a whole fake ex-wife called Devlin, and who better to play the fake wife than Catherine? One lie spirals into another, and now Palmer thinks Catherine's real life kids are Danny's, and now they're all going on a trip to Hawaii. Oh, and Danny's weird cousin Eddie gets amongst it too. In Hawaii, the lies keep snowballing, and Danny starts building a bond with the kids, and Catherine keeps bumping into a childhood nemesis whose actual name is Devlin, so now she has to pretend her husband is Danny to seem like she has it all together, and Eddie on the other hand nearly kills a sheep to try keep his cover. So yeah, it gets a bit confusing.
That's true.
Obviously, Catherine and Danny start falling in love, but Palmer, now convinced of Danny's elaborate lie, wants to get married ASAP. Danny almost goes along with it, but would it really be an Adam Sandler movie without a happy ending? Danny and Catherine confess their love, get married, and live happily ever after. Man, I love Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston in a movie together. Their chemistry is just insane, so natural and funny. I personally thought the kid actors were great in this too.
Can I do an accent?
Let me hear some.
Hello!
No.
I was literally laughing throughout the whole movie. I think I've watched this like 5 times already, but each time is as good as the first. And yeah, I kinda choked up in the end when they confessed their love to each other. Why can't finding love be this easy in real life? 8.1 out of 10. Coming in at 5th place is another classic, Big Daddy. This is a movie I watched with my mum when I was younger, so I'll always love it. Sandler plays the role of Sonny Koufax, who's basically the king of doing nothing. He's 32, has a law degree he's never used, and lives off settlement money he got from an accident 15 years ago. Everyone around him is moving on with their lives except him. His roommate Kevin is getting engaged to Karen, who hates Sonny, and the feeling is definitely mutual. Meanwhile, Sonny also gets dumped by his girlfriend for being a low-life bum, and she runs away with the 60-year-old dude on the brink of retirement. But Sonny's life turns upside down when a kid, Julian, shows up at his apartment with a note explaining that his friend Kevin is the father. Well, too bad, because Kevin's on a plane to China, so Sonny decides to take care of the kid himself. At first he uses the kid to get back at his ex and win her back, but when that doesn't work, Sonny actually starts digging the dad life. They mess around together, eat junk food, piss on the sides of buildings. I mean, what a fun dad. But being fake parent obviously comes with consequences, when social services swoops in and takes Julian away. That scene low-key broke my heart. Sonny takes the case to court where he has to defend himself and prove he's a good father, which was kinda hard to do. Finally, in the end, Kevin steps up as the father. Sonny sadly has to let Julian go, but he promises he'll always be there for him. Fast forward a year, Sonny's a lawyer, he married his love interest Layla, and they even have their own kid. This is my forever comfort movie. It's just that peak 90s, early 2000s Adam Sandler charm we all love. Nazo was easily my favorite character in the movie.
Keith Pop Anonymous?
Rob Schneider is quite possibly the greatest supporting actor in the industry. Low-key, this wasn't the ending I wanted. Kinda wish Julian would have stayed Sonny's son, but it's still wholesome. Also, the Sprouse twins killed the role. You can clearly see they have a bright future ahead of them. 8.3 out of 10. Next up in 4th place, just missing out on a podium finish, we have Happy Gilmore. When you mention golf movies, Happy Gilmore is the first that comes to mind. A sports movie really doesn't get better than this. Happy Gilmore is a wannabe hockey player who, well, kinda sucks. He can't skate, has a very short temper, and to make things worse, the IRS are about to take his grandma's house because she owes about $270,000 in taxes. So poor old grandma gets shipped off to a retirement home ran by the devil disguised as Ben Stiller. But Happy, on the other hand, decides he's going to get the house back. How? By playing golf, obviously. At first he just hustles old dudes at the driving range, but then runs into golf pro Chubbs, who coaches Happy to go pro. The problem is, Happy has zero golf etiquette. He swears, fights, throws clubs, and golf royalty, Shooter McGavin, hates him for it. But I mean, Happy brings in huge crowds, so the golf tour couldn't care less. Things get kinda messy when Happy gets constantly heckled by a psycho fan Shooter hires to piss him off. And it works. Happy gets suspended, but luckily, he scores a Subway sponsorship which gives him enough money to buy back his grandma's house. But uh-oh, too late. Shooter already swooped in at the auction and bought it. So Happy places a bet with Shooter. If Happy beats him at the tour championship, he gets the house back. So Happy goes back to Chubbs and works on a short game. To thank Chubbs for all his hard work, Happy gives him the head of the alligator that bit off his hand and ended his career. But this ends quite tragically. Happy ends up winning the tour championship in the most dramatic way possible, and the movie ends with Grandma getting the house back and him winning over his love interest in the movie, the most beautiful woman in the world, Virginia. This was just a bloody great movie. No notes, such a simple concept executed so well. I love this movie. One of my all-time favorites. It's one of those movies I'm going to show my kids as soon as they gain consciousness. 8.5 out of 10. Now cracking into the top 3. The 3 greatest Adam Sandler movies, in my opinion, and what better way to start it off than with an Adam Sandler classic, Grown Ups. If you ask anyone to name 5 Adam Sandler movies, Grown Ups will always be mentioned. This is one of those timeless comedies everyone and their mothers have watched. The movie starts in 1978, where 5 kids win their junior high basketball championship led by Coach Buzzer. Fast forward 30 years and the squad is all grown up with families. Lenny Fader is played by Adam Sandler, and of course is the super successful Hollywood agent married to the prettiest girl he could cast. The kids are spoiled little brats. Eric is played by Kevin James, who lies about being successful, has a daughter and a son called Bean, who's a bit too old to still be drinking mummy's milk. Kurt is played by Chris Rock and is a stay-at-home dad who constantly gets clowned by his mother-in-law. Rob is played by Rob Schneider. Wow, they really didn't try with that one, huh? He's that typical vegan type of dude who dates a woman 30 years older and is kind of the joke of the group. And last but not least, Marcus, played by David Spade, is the laid-back, immature single who lives life to the fullest. After hearing the tragic news of Coach Buzzer passing away, the gang reunite and head to their old lake house to spend the 4th of July weekend. And it's just pure comedy and chaos. There's family drama while Lenny tries to teach his kids not to be spoiled little brats and enjoy nature for once. Every scene makes you laugh.
Believe it or not, Robbie and Marcus were actually shorter back in 1978.
Yeah, but those guys had a skill that you never mastered. They knew how to pass the ball.
Looks like somebody has to learn how to pass the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
They go to the water park, they go out for dinner, everything's so simple, yet it's just so funny. This movie literally just feels like Adam Sandler went on a vacation with his best friends and just recorded his whole experience. I think that's what makes this movie work so well. Every cast member just has insane chemistry with one another. In the final showdown of the movie, the gang recreates the basketball championship game from 30 years ago, since the opponents are still a little salty. And just as Lenny's about to win the game again, he purposefully misses the game-winning shot in a very wholesome and heartfelt moment. So not only is this movie funny, it also teaches us life lessons. This movie is exactly what I imagine and hope my future looks like with my best friends. Peak Sandler verse comedy, such a simple plot executed so bloody well. 8.6 out of 10. And here we go. The top 2 greatest Adam Sandler movies ever. Now this one was tough. I went back and forth so many times trying to decide which movie deserved the number 1 spot. I mean, they're both just so bloody good. So taking the number 2 spot on this ranking, we have a phenomenal movie by Adam Sandler, Click. Okay, when I tell you this movie made me feel every emotion known to man in a matter of 2 hours, I mean it. Words don't do this movie justice, but I'm gonna try regardless. Michael Newman, played by Sandler of course, is an overworked architect trying to climb the corporate ladder while also juggling being a husband to his wife Donna and a father to his 2 kids. Except, he sucks at the family part. His boss basically owns him, and time again, Michael always picks work over his family without fail. So one night, Michael makes a trip to Bed Bath & Beyond trying to look for a universal remote until he stumbles upon the Forbidden Beyond section. Naturally, he has a geese and ends up meeting Morty, a wicked scientist who gives him an actual universal remote, but the catch is, he can't return it. Michael quickly realizes that when Morty said universal remote, it quite literally controlled everything. He could pause, mute, rewind, and fast forward reality. I mean, at first it was harmless fun. He would skip through arguments with his wife, skip being ill, and even pause time to fire in his boss's face.
No, you got more.
But Morty warns him that whenever Michael fast forwards, his body goes on autopilot, meaning he's actually missing chunks of his life. Ignoring this, Michael uses the remote to jump to his promotion, which he expected to be only a couple weeks. Turns out, it took him a whole year to get promoted, and in that time, his marriage fell apart, his dog died, and he wasn't there to witness any of it. After a while, the remote starts learning his preferences, meaning every time something Michael doesn't like occurs, the remote automatically fast forwards. So after accidentally wishing to be CEO one day, boom, the remote fast forwards 10 years. He's now fat, divorced, lonely, and his kids hate him. From there on, everything spirals. The remote skips 6 more years, turns out he's had cancer, a heart attack, and his dad's died, and of course, Michael missed everything. And the worst part was rewatching the last time Michael spoke to his dad before he died. All his dad wanted was to spend time with him, but Michael, being on autopilot, only cared about work, so he brushed him off like it was nothing. This scene shattered my heart. Michael fast forwards again, only this time to his son's wedding, where he's an old and broken man. The most gut-punching scene in this movie was when he was on life support, and he started noticing his son making the same mistakes he did, and only caring about work. So Michael rips off his life support to chase after him and warn him, family always comes first. Michael ends up collapsing in the rain, says goodbye to his family, and dies in his ex-wife's hands. You think the movie ends there, but they pull out a classic middle school creative writing ending. He wakes up in Bed Bath & Beyond, and it turns out it was all a dream. Back home, he hugs his family, still young, and vows he will never choose his work over them ever again. And the end scene reveals the universal remote on the counter, along with a note from Morty saying he hopes Michael will make the right choice this time round. And scene. Again, words don't do justice, but this movie is insane. I expected to go into this movie thinking it was another one of Sandler's goofy comedies, until I started bawling my eyes out in the end. This movie is like a bad dream you wake up from and are so glad it was just a nightmare. Some scenes straight up break me. This movie gives me proper Interstellar vibes, like when Michael watches his past self and screams at him not to screw things up. And oh man, the final rain scene, when he pulls out the note for Donna, and it's the same one she gave him when they first started dating. I'm not crying, you are. It's about how easy it is to waste your life chasing work, money, and success, only to wake up and realize you missed the stuff that actually mattered. And unlike Michael, we don't have a Morty to reset the timeline. That's terrifying, but also kind of the point. The first time I watched this, I thought it was just okay. Watching it again years later, it hit me like a truck. 9.3 out of 10. One of my favorite movies I've ever watched. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for. If you've done the process of elimination, then you already know what movie I'm talking about. But the greatest Adam Sandler movie, in my opinion, is 50 First Dates. This movie only just edged out Click to take the #1 spot, but the only reason it came down to was that 50 First Dates has more replay value compared to Click, in my opinion. Okay, strap yourselves in, as I'm about to give you a rundown of one of the greatest rom-coms in history. So Sandler plays the role of Henry Roth, who's living the ultimate Hawaiian bachelor lifestyle, working at a sea life park, hanging out with his buddy Ula, who's brilliantly played by the GOAT Rob Schneider. He's got a walrus best friend, a penguin sidekick, and a dream of sailing to Alaska to study walruses. Basically the man's Moana, if Moana told fart jokes.
Just yanking you.
Then one day, while grabbing breakfast at the Hukilau Cafe, Henry meets Lucy, who's played by the beautiful Drew Barrymore, and boom, instant chemistry. They spend the whole morning bonding, making waffles out of toothpicks, and talking like they've known each other forever. Henry's hooked, and they agree to meet again, but here's the twist. When he shows up the next day, Lucy doesn't remember him at all. Turns out Lucy was in a car accident a while ago where she suffered anterograde amnesia, meaning every day she wakes up thinking it's October 13th, the day of the crash, which means she can remember her entire life before the crash, but all new information after October 13th she has zero memory of. So she's practically living the same 24 hours every single day. To protect her, her dad Marlon and a steroid-pumped brother recreate the same day over and over and over again. The same birthday cake, the same football game, and the exact same newspaper. It's sweet but also kind of heartbreaking. After the cafe waitress explains this to Henry, he decides he likes the girl too much to give up, so he stages accidental encounters with Lucy, trying new ways to get her attention every day. And slowly but surely, he wins her over again and again. So one day she accidentally figures out that her family has been lying to her, but things get messy when Lucy has a breakdown after realizing her life is basically a lie. So Henry, being the romantic he is, thinks of the most thoughtful thing ever. He makes her a tape explaining her condition and who she is, so every morning she can watch the tape and learn the truth instead of living her life as a lie. I mean, this is living proof that if he wanted to, he would. Still, Lucy finds out Henry is giving up his lifelong dream of sailing to Alaska just to stay with her. So she's worried that she's holding him back and decides to erase him completely out of her life by burning all her journals and breaking up with him. Absolutely heartbroken, Henry tries to move on by sailing away to Alaska, but just as he's about to leave, her dad lets slip that Lucy still sings. The reason why this is such a big deal to Henry is because Lucy only sings when she's with Henry. So this means somewhere deep down, she still remembers him. So Henry rushes to the rehab institute where she's now living, and Lucy shows him an entire studio full of paintings she's made, and every single painting is of him. So even though she doesn't know him, their love was so deep that she dreamt about him every night. Now if that doesn't make you believe in true love, I don't know what will. The end scene shows Lucy waking up sometime in the future, watching the tape Henry made for her some time ago, and as the camera pulls away, we realize she's no longer dating Henry, but they're married now. She walks upstairs onto Henry's boat, which is now in Alaska, where her dad, Henry, and their daughter Nicole are all waiting for her. See, when I say I want a happy ending, this is what I mean. This movie has everything. It's sweet, it's funny, it's heartbreaking, it's love. What did I say? Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore only make classics. All three of their movies are in my top 10. Greatest rom-com duo, no debate. Some moments in this movie are so sweet, it hurts. The family's dedication to protecting Lucy is just pure love. And Rob Schneider is actually the greatest supporting actor in comedies. And Henry, man, he puts every man to shame. This is the most selfless version of love. He showed up every day with no expectations, just hoping that she would fall in love with him again. It reminds me so much of my favorite movie ever, The Notebook, when Noah reads Ellie their love story every day, hoping it'll bring back her memory. There's clearly a reason why I love both of these movies so much. They're obviously doing something right. My heart actually melted during the end scene. Like, how do you not tear up at Lucy waking up to find out she's married with a family? It's literally perfect. And of course, I watched this with my mum a while back, so this movie will always hold a special place in my heart. This movie gets everything right. Funny, romantic, emotional, and just unforgettable. It's not just one of my favorite Adam Sandler movies, it's one of my favorite movies ever, point blank. 9.4 out of 10. And there you have it. Every single Adam Sandler movie rated and ranked from worst to best. Here's a quick rundown for those who skipped to the end. Going Overboard, The Meyerowitz Stories, Reign Over Me, Men, Women and Children, Spaceman, Little Nicky, You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah, 8 Crazy Nights, Leo, Sandy Wexler, The Ridiculous Six, Spanglish, Hotel Transylvania 3, Punch Drunk Love, Murder Mystery 2, Jack and Jill, Bulletproof, The Cobbler, The Week Of, Hotel Transylvania 2, Happy Gilmore 2, Funny People, Hotel Transylvania, I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry, Pixels, Hustle, Anger Management, Murder Mystery, Hubie Halloween, Bedtime Stories, Mr. Deeds, Grown Ups 2, That's My Boy, You Don't Mess with the Zohan, The Do-Over, The Longest Yard, Uncut Gems, Blended, The Waterboy, The Wedding Singer, Billy Madison, Just Go With It, Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore, Grown Ups, Click, 50 First Dates. I watched every single Adam Sandler movie so you don't have to. From absolute dumpster fires like Going Overboard to iconic masterpieces like Click. This man can do it all. He kills it in serious roles, he kills it in romantic roles, he kills it in comedic roles. What can this man not do? And my final verdict is, this man is the greatest actor, and I don't care what you have to say, that's my opinion. He's by far my favorite actor, and his movies are some of my favorites. This man has carried me through bad days, good days, and whatever the heck little Nicky was supposed to be. He makes me laugh, he makes me cry, and sometimes he makes me question why I'm alive. Which honestly, is exactly what cinema is supposed to do. So yeah, I love this man, and when the day comes that Adam Sandler eventually makes his final film, I will be absolutely devastated. But until then, I'll keep quoting his movies, rewatching his classics, and defending his honor in every single conversation possible. Because Sandler isn't just an actor, he's a lifestyle.